Okay, let's start looking at some composite figures here. So it wants us to find the volume of this composite figure and round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so remember, composite figures are when we have this figure that's made out of two other figures that we really know a lot about, and you kind of smush them together in some way, shape, or form. Okay, and so what I see in this picture is I see a triangular prism, and here are our bases that are the same and they're parallel to each other. And here are the rectangles that connect them. So I see a triangular prism. Okay, and I also see a rectangular prism. Here's our rectangular prism. Okay, and so I'll write down rectangular prism. Now if we think about this, if this is a closed figure and we could actually fill it up with something, right? If we just add the volume of the triangular prism plus the volume of the rectangular prism, that would give us the volume of the entire thing. Okay, now let's look at this. Okay, what we have to understand about this triangular prism, I can draw it differently for you if you want. I could maybe draw it something like this. And my pictures aren't going to be awesome, but they'll work. Okay. Could probably put more dotted lines in there in the back. But this is something, if I turn it another way, this is what it would look like. Right? My side lengths are still all going to be 8 here. Okay? And now my height, if you look really carefully, if this is 4, this also has to be 4. Right? So our height is actually just 4. Okay? Now what I have to look at even more carefully is how can I find the area of the base of this triangular prism? Because remember, the volume is going to be equal to the area of the base multiplied by the height. Okay? Well, the area of the base is just going to be 1/2 times base times height. It's a triangle, right? I'm going to draw this just so we can see it a little bit better. So if this is the base, all these side lengths are 8. Okay? If I bisect this, instead of 8, this is 4, this is 8, and this is our height. Okay? And so I'm just going to use the Pythagorean theorem here to figure out what my height is. So 4 squared plus our height squared will give us 8 squared. So this is now going to give me 16 plus h squared equals 64. Okay, I'm just going to subtract 16 from each side. So 64 minus 16 is going to give us 48. Okay, and I'll take the square root of both sides, and I'll get that my height is going to be equal to, let's see, I'll do radical 16 times radical 3. So our height is actually going to be 4 radical 3 centimeters. Okay. Now, remember, I'm still not quite done finding the area of this, right? Our area of our triangle is going to be equal to 1/2 times 8, right? Times the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle, which is 4 radical 3, right? So the area of our triangle, just the base of our triangle, we could call this capital B if we wanted to as well, would be 16 radical 3. Right? Half of 8 is 4. 4 times 4 rad 3 is 16 radical 3 square centimeters. Okay, so again, our volume now will be equal to the area of the base, which is 16 radical 3 multiplied by our height, which is 4, or excuse me, which is 4. And this is going to give us 64 radical 3 centimeters cubed. Okay, so we just found the volume of our triangular prism. Okay, now we have to go find the volume of our rectangular prism, which is much easier because the volume equals base times height, or volume equals length times width times height. So our volume here is going to be equal to 8 times 4 times 5. Okay, which is going to give us a volume of 8 times 4 times 5 gives us 160 cubed centimeters. Okay, so we'll say volume of composite is going to be equal to the volume of triangle plus the volume of the rectangular prism. Okay, so our volume is just going to be equal to 64 rad 3 plus 160, okay, which is just going to give us, and I have to get this to the nearest tenth, so I'll get 64 times radical 3 gives us 110.85 about, plus another 160, so I multiplied, sorry. Backtrack here, delete. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and add 160 to this, and I get a volume of 270.9 cubic centimeters. Okay, and this is going to be our final answer.